Hello and welcome to a new episode of Patrick Garage. I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about scavenging, as from what I'm understanding it, or from the angle that I'm aware of, or how I have understood it. So, what is scavenging? It's about Schnörle principle these days. Older days it was loop scavenging, and I won't talk about that. It was very odd shaped pistons and very bad combustion chambers and no power. And development has been done through the years. So I will talk a little bit about the theory about leaning tower of pizza, and what's the idea about that one. But let's try to visualize the cylinder. This is just a sleeve from my old Husky. I don't know why this is here. I got this for a purpose later. And this is a cylinder, I don't need it. It's the Kawasaki cylinder that's been dynoing 70 plus on the wheels, by the way, on methanol. However, this is a sleeve. Exhaust right here, and auxiliary exhaust, A port, B port and C port. In Sweden called boost port, probably in more countries also. And I got it like this so we can visualize it a little bit, I think. Let's start from the bottom point of things. This is, let's say, origo, let's say the starting point of everything. And crank is turning, I can show you, and pushing the piston upwards. Now you begin to build the low pressure zone underneath the piston, and the intake charge, the atmospheric pressure is pressing through fresh intake charge through the carburetor and reed valves or rotary or piston controlled inlet. Oops. And as further we go, it still breathes, and this is top dead center. It still breathes, and on high RPM, even though the piston has turned and is on its way down, it still breathes, but the amplitude of the suction, no, not the suction, the amplitude of the vacuum level is diminishing, and you need to use the weight in the air column to overfill the cylinder, to ram charge it, so to speak, in four-stroke language. And piston is traveling further down, and when the reed valves or rotary valve or the piston closes the piston control intake, we start to build positive pressure in the crank house. And while having positive pressure in the crank house, you the piston increases it while traveling down, and now you can see at the top of the piston is slightly opening the transfer channels. If it is same duration on everybody, it opens everyone at the same time. And it starts to crack open as you have the highest pressure in the crankcase also. But it doesn't begin to flow until a couple, let's say a millimeter almost, half a millimeter maybe. And then it starts to flow and the piston travels down to bottom dead center. And you got full area open, and exhaust is, no, not exhaust, the pressure in the crank housing is pushing fresh charge into the cylinder. And I haven't touched the exhaust part yet. I'll leave that alone. And whilst that traveling up in a certain angularity and the directions from the C-port and the angularity, you got an air column in the cylinder, hopefully in the rear part of the cylinder, against from the opposite side of the exhaust. An air column, what I would like to visualize it. Let's take this. It's not perfectly as it's shaped, but an air column like here. It's pushed upward into the head, and then it turns when it's hitting the head and will go down again. And now we come into the secret. This is if you design the boost C-port correctly together with the B port, you get this column raised. I can't show you. Raised like this, and then it turns, and now it wants to start to find its easiest way out of the cylinder, and thereby you add a different angle and both upwards and radially to try to keep this column inside the cylinder. It won't escape, of course, right out here. Oh, it doesn't want to fit. But you understand, right out here. And if having the BA transfers helping to push this upwards more, and it spreads and gets larger, and it also, I'll need to touch it a little bit, it pushes exhausts down through the exhaust port, the remaining exhaust gases that are left still in the cylinder. And then the piston starts to raise up again, and you trap the charge. This is happening very fast. And while this one are closing, you have exhaust thing happening. I won't touch that right now, but exhaust is happening right now. It's very important to tune this correctly. But the thing I want to show you guys is how, and not how, but my way that I'm actually feeling with my fingers where the air column is happening. I won't measure flow, I won't measure blah blah, I won't measure da da. I just feel with my fingers. I have taken my go-kart engine. I feel with my fingers and try to visualize it now with a, what do you call it, an air foil. I will put it on the go-kart cylinder when running it with a drill. I will show you. It will be hard to see from above, but I will explain. Probably you might see it. I painted this yellow, no, white, so it will be more visual. And let's have it like this first on this one, and running the screwdriver. You will see at the back part, this will flop around to an extent. And then having it at the front, it will flop around much less. That tells me you got more air column at the rear of the cylinder. If it was the vice versa, having more flopping around at the front instead of the back, you aimed things not so good and will lose fresh charge out the exhaust very fast. So let's try to visualize this with a live video on the go-kart engine. I don't know, let's see if you can see. I'll aim it right there. So now I'll take the screwdriver like this and turn it. Yeah, you can see I will drive it quite fast and you won't be able to hear me speak. But see if I got any light. Right there maybe. It will be hard to see, but I'll tell you. And let's just set it like this first. And this is the exhaust side of the cylinder. So I will have a certain amount of flop. You might not see anything at all. Well, it flops about 2 or 3 millimeters only. And then when turning it to the other side, and this by the way isn't how I'm feeling it, I'm just showing you. I will talk about how I'm feeling it later. And on this side, keeping the distance to the cylinder. Yeah, you can see it flop around quite a lot. And what does this tell me? Not tell me, but this was the visualizer. What I'm doing is I'm using the fingers. Fingertops are very sensitive to air blowing, or when you're painting a car you can feel the least amount of not flat surface, you feel it with the fingers, it's very sensitive. And I might need to have some trained fingers also, because I've seen guys, of course, never been able to get a flat surface before painting a car. Someone is using light and shadows and such, or guide paint and everything. I'm just using my fingers because I am very sensitive. And if running it right now, I can feel with my fingers at the front, the pulses aren't that strong, but in the rear it's much stronger when I'm running it fast. I try to move my fingers where I feel the pulses from the porch hitting hardest. So I'll start from the rear. Right about there I can feel the strongest pulses. That tells me I got a wide air column like this, and about this not so much. Let's see if I can. Wide like that probably. An air column traveling upwards in the cylinder. And then imagine you got the head still, and that's a hemispherical shape with the squish band and all. It wants to turn around and go down and escape out the exhaust again. And by that, having in the leaning tower of pizza theory, you help that charge being pushed back a little bit again. Not very much, but a little bit. And by that you gain volumetric efficiency. And then piston goes up and closes the exhaust, and you got compressed and squish, bang, blow. So what's happening with the exhaust then? That's a whole, not a whole another story, but it's a story that runs parallel to this. Let's start from the top this time. I'll use this one to simulate now, not the liner. Bang, and it pushes the cylinder piston downwards, and right about now it has opened the exhaust about 1.5 millimeter. The first half millimeter, the flow isn't a lot. It's just it starts to move, but as you got high pressure you get some out of the cylinder, a little bit of it, of course. But opening it up, let's say about 2 millimeters, you got full blow, almost. And as the pressure decreases, you need larger exhaust area, of course. And by that you got the auxiliary ports coming in with a slight lower duration and helping evacuating the cylinder. And the pulse is rushing with the speed of sound, but you need to keep things apart now. It isn't. You got two things happening in the pipe: speed of sound and the speed of gases. Let's talk about speed of sound to make things easy. And it rushes out, gets diverged in the header and the divergent cones, and then into the belly. And then the belly, from my understanding, it is like a delay, like a waiting room before getting into the operation chamber. You need to do some things in. And that delay is needed right here. You got a high low pressure zone in the whole. When the gases has rushed down, you got a reflective low pressure drag into the cylinder that helps emptying the cylinder and helps drawing fresh gases from the crankcase. And as the piston then starts to go up again, the delay is over right now. Now the plug pulse, as I say, need to return from the pipe. It is when the pulse has traveled through the belly and running to the, oh wait a second, not diverging cone first, it's the diffuser cones first. But now it's rushing to the diverging cone and creates an plug pulse, as I'm calling it. It plugs the exhaust and also helps, it has drawn out a little bit too much and helps pushing that back into the cylinder to overfill the cylinder, so you get over 100% volumetric efficiency. And now when it's about half closed, auxiliary ports are closed. This is the strongest point of the exhaust back pulse needs to come right now, and it happens very fast. Just slightly less duration. It just, the fresh charge is done and the plug pulse comes in and plugs up the exhaust, so you trap a big amount of fresh charge, and then it's like this all around again, over and over again, over and over again. That's from what I understand. And this trick I showed you, try it yourself. It will actually tell you a lot if you're trying it. I've been doing it for years now, and it's quite interesting actually how to feel the flow from the cylinder, as you can't see it, and you can, without the cylinder, use some what do you call it, gasol burner, what's in the language, propane torch or something like that, and set it on fire and blow fire through when the cylinder is loose, and see the angularity of the flow. You can see it's a blue flame. But to get that perfect, you need to blow in all 5 at the same time. How to build this PISA flow column, fresh charge column. Doing it this way, it's the engine creates it, and it doesn't get more correct like that. So I recommend doing it, because it might enlighten you. So this was on a little bit of an educational video. You guys can tell me if you want more, or if you didn't understand, you can make me wish for me to repeat it again, or try to clarify it or something like that. So with that, I'm closing off now, and hope you're having a good day. Bye!